Let me tell you how my life took a sharp turn somewhere over Nebraska, when I thought I was just another tired woman on a plane returning from my mother's funeral, with a suitcase full of memories and a 5-year-old daughter whose whole world, at that moment, was the pink blanket wrapped around her shoulders. My name's Claire Morgan, and if you'd told me then that fate had a sense of humor, I would have rolled my eyes. I was in seat 22B, the sort of person who keeps her head down, just trying to survive another crowded flight from Denver to New York, hoping nobody noticed my red eyes or shaky hands. It wasn't the grief or the exhaustion that changed me that night, it was a whisper. 30 minutes after takeoff, some man, two rows behind me, oozing that special brand of entitlement, decided I was the day's entertainment. Bet you'd be warmer without that jacket. Why don't you take it off, sweetheart? He didn't say it loud, just enough that the words slid under my skin like ice water. You know, the type, someone who's used to getting away with things, because people like me usually don't say a word. I froze. My daughter Sophie kept sleeping, the only thing anchoring me. Then his hand fingertips where they didn't belong, brushing the back of my seat. My voice came out steady, though I didn't feel steady. Please don't touch me. Silence. Then a snicker behind me. That's when the man beside me, a stranger in a hoodie, quiet, with that posture you recognize only if you've been around people who know how to fight, shifted. Not to make a scene. Just stood up, smooth, confident, and said, "You need to stop." The air went still. The man behind us tried to play it off, but my seatmate just looked at him, nothing loud, nothing dramatic. "I'm the last person you want to test at 30,000 feet. His voice was calm, but it cut through the plane. Maybe it was the way he didn't look nervous at all, or maybe the way the flight attendant appeared almost out of nowhere, but within minutes, the harasser was gone, grumbling as he was led to the back. The stranger sat down, a gay no smirk, no chest puffing. He just nodded at me. "You okay?" he asked. I wasn't, but I said yes. That's how I met Ethan Cole. Just a name. No questions. He had that look, military, I guessed, but I didn't press. Instead, we sat in silence, Sophie still out cold beside me. After a while, I asked if things like this happened to him often. "Too often," he said, and something in his voice told me he'd seen worse. He was calm, not detached, just trained. I found myself talking more than I usually did. Maybe because he listened, maybe because he didn't force the conversation, or maybe because I desperately needed to be seen by someone who didn't want anything in return. The night grew longer. Snow started falling outside, and then the captain's voice came on. Bad weather. Emergency landing Nebraska, of all places. Groans filled the cabin, but Ethan just looked at me and said, "Breathe. One thing at a time." I tried. After we landed, people shuffled out into a tiny terminal. Ethan grabbed my suitcase without asking. We ended up in a corner, Sophie still asleep in my arms. "Not the worst place I've been stuck," he said, and for a moment I believed him. When a staff member announced hotel vouchers for families, Ethan stepped in without blinking, telling them we were together. "You don't have to," I whispered, but he just shook his head. "It's late. You and your daughter need rest." No argument in his tone, just certainty. The hotel was forgettable too, queen beds, faded wallpaper, air that smelled faintly of disinfectant. I tucked Sophie in, then just sat on my bed, not sure if I should thank him again or stay silent. Ethan offered to sleep on the floor. I told him not to. He just sat there, hands folded, looking at the window, and for the first time that week, I felt the weight on my shoulders lighten a bit. We really talked. I told him about my mom, about Sophie's father leaving before she was born, about working 2 jobs, and feeling like I was always one step from falling apart. Ethan listened, shared just enough to let me know he understood what it meant to lose people, to regret the things you didn't do or say. He told me about Marissa, names spoken quietly. She'd been an interpreter overseas, and he'd hesitated at the wrong moment, waiting for confirmation that never came. She didn't make it. "Silence can cost," he said. I got it. Loss is a language you don't forget once you've learned it. In the morning, the storm had passed. We rode back to the airport, Togatherm, Sophie, and the man who'd stepped into my life by accident. Back in New York, I found myself hesitating at baggage claim. I didn't want to say goodbye, and when Sophie took his hand, it felt as natural as breathing. "She's a strong kid," he said. She gets it from her grandmother. I answered. We shook hands firm, steady, and he walked away. Life settled back into its familiar rhythm. Work, early mornings, late nights. My apartment felt emptier, and the city's noise seemed farther away. 3 days later, curiosity got the best of me. I Googled his name, Ethan Cole. I found a news release, a blurry photo in uniform, details redacted. Colonel. Hostage rescue. The kind of man who does the right thing, even when it costs him. And then, one morning, he was at my door. I had some leave time stored up, he said, holding up his phone. Your address was on the luggage tag. Just in case. He handed Sophie a drawing she'd left behind on the plain 3 stick figures, holding hands. Come in, I said. It wasn't dramatic. Just right. We drank chamomile tea at my kitchen table, and I realized how easy it felt, how much I wanted this strange new chapter. Then came a knock. A man in a suit, military, eyes sharp, badge on his belt. Colonel Cole, I'm here about the Cairo file. Ethan stiffened. I told command I was on leave. Not from us. The words hung in the air. Ethan apologized, then left, and the apartment seemed colder without him. I try not to worry, but the word Cairo wouldn't leave me alone. I searched for it. Buried reports, rumors, a mission gone wrong, civilian casualties, decisions Ethan had carried, invisible to everyone but him. For days, I heard nothing. Then, on a Thursday morning, he showed up again, hands empty except for the truth. He told me about Cairo, a child caught in the crossfire. That's the thing about command, he said. You live with the decisions no one else remembers, but you don't forget. He handed me his military ID, not as a shield, but as a confession. I wanted you to see me, not the uniform. I told him I never flinched, I just didn't know. Sophie ran in, threw her arms around him, and it felt like the world was right for the first time in a long time. Over coffee, I asked, what now? He smiled, tired but honest. That depends on you. I don't want to be here out of duty. I want to be here because this, he gestured to my apartment, at Sophie's drawing, this is real. I told him the scariest part of being alone was knowing if something happened, no one would notice. I'm already halfway there, he said, and for the first time, I believed him. Time passed. Ethan showed up for dinners, for park trips, for ordinary days. Sophie drew him into every picture, sometimes a superhero, sometimes a dinosaur. He came to my clinic's community event, even though he hated crowds. That night, he gave me a letter as official discharge. I'm done, he said, with deployments, with everything temporary except regret. I want to serve something I choose. I choose this. Tears came, but so did relief. I never asked you to give it all up. I know, but I want to. 1 year later, Sophie graduated kindergarten. Ethan stood in the back, not hiding. When it was over, she ran straight into his arms. No uniform, no pretense, just us, under paper stars taped to a school wall. And I finally understood. Sometimes the hero isn't the one who swoops in. Sometimes it's the one who stays. So, let me ask you, who's the real hero in your life? Is it the person who saves the day, or the one who shows up when the day is done? Tell me what you think. What matters more, dramatic rescues or quiet courage? Drop your thoughts below, subscribe, and share if you believe in the power of ordinary heroes.